Hello there everybody, a very good morning to you all and welcome back to another live stream here at Taurex and at Moss. I hope everyone has had a good week so far and is doing well. We have some updates for today. This is a stream a day later than I normally would do it. I couldn't do the stream yesterday, unfortunately. So this is our sort of like weekly overview, having a look at some of the main trades for this week, and I will also touch on the positions that I posted in the trade ideas section in the Discord channel last week and give you an update on that, and have a look at what we've got coming up this week, which is a very good week because it's Fed week, of course, and which means we've got the Federal Reserve interest rate decision, which is going to be fascinating. We're going to see what Jerome Powell is going to do next and how that will shape the markets for the next few weeks or so. So it's good to see you all in the Discord channel. I can see the requests coming through for some of the markets, and I will go through all of those. Hello to those in the Discord channel and on YouTube as well. I can see Lara, you are in on the stream today. You are long on gold, New Zealand USD, and you've got, of course, the sugar trader, Lara, the sugar trader, love it. WTI, silver, and Bitcoin. So you've got quite a few trades open there. So I hope they're running okay and you're risk managed. Obviously, when you've got so many positions open. Bobby, hello to you as well. Good to see you. WTI, pound dollar, US 30, gold. Yes, we're going to touch on all of those markets, no problem. Kirkton, hello to you. Good to see you. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I hope you are doing well. Just a quick update, of course. I know I've had some messages, and I know that the giveaways haven't taken off yet. I haven't forgotten about them, don't worry. They will be coming very soon. I'm actually hoping, because it was UK bank holiday and the compliance team over in the UK need to draft the terms and conditions together for the giveaways. So I believe I will have an update on that today, fingers crossed. And when I do, I'll make sure that you are aware of that and how everything is going to work. So that's very exciting. So as soon as I have more news on that, I'll make sure I'll let you know. And haven't traded sugar, WTI, silver and Bitcoin yet, but they're on my watch list. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll have a look at those. So a few things to talk about today. Obviously, we're going to have a look at the week as a whole. I think we were pretty much okay over the weekend in terms of news. Nothing that I saw that I need to cover that's had like some devastating impact or volatile impact on the market, so that's good. But there is some news that we'll have a look at for you. So let's just start with, I want to start with this actually. This isn't actually nothing that that's going to impact the markets as such, but just some respect to an absolute trading, investing legend. Warren Buffett has stepped down as the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. I'm sure maybe if you've got social media, you've seen the clips of him talking about his decision to do that and who will be replacing him. It's a guy called Greg Abel. He will be taking his place. 94 years old, Warren Buffett. So yeah, to be CEO of a major investment fund firm at 94 years old is amazing, and we know what he's done. He's delivered, I think it's 5.5 million% return to his investors during his tenure as an investor, which is one of is the best, I would say, the best to do it, the most famous name. So I think it's only right that you sort of pay your respects to what an amazing investor that he is and was, and yeah, and I'm sure will continue to be. So yeah, I've got actually a good article there if you wanna read a little bit about his story and his journey. It's quite an interesting read. I won't obviously go through it today, but it's an interesting read if you want to do that. So yeah, he'll be stepping down. So that was some news that we had. Other than that, it's really just about what we've got coming up this week. So I'm going to start with the economic calendar. I'm just going to let you know the high impact news events that we've got coming up, what we need to be focused on, and then we'll jump onto the charts and I'll give an update on the trade idea that I sent in. Also have a look at obviously some of those markets that have been requested. I will be covering anyway, but any of the ones that weren't necessarily on my list to cover, I'll go through them for you as well. And if anyone else has any questions, not necessarily markets, but any trading related questions, then feel free to drop them in the YouTube chat and I will be able to go through them for you. Okay, so bank holiday. I believe it's. I think it's the same. I think the Japanese markets might be closed again today as well. You get May bank holidays. You had one last Thursday. I think the DAX was closed. UK markets obviously weren't open yesterday. We had May bank holiday, so it's a bit of a weird, strange time in around May. Always is a bit like that. So the next sort of thing that and it's not a small thing, it's a big thing that we need to really be focused on is tomorrow, where we've got the Federal Reserve interest rate decision. I don't think anything in the calendar that I've seen is important until that point tomorrow, where we see the Federal Reserve interest rate decision. Obviously, it's the Federal Reserve, so it's a massive data point. So we need to really be honed in on that. And again, as I always say, it's not about what the interest rate decision is necessarily, because 4.5%, we're expecting rates to be held where they were, or where they are, sorry. But it's the statement and the conference. That's where you get the good stuff. That's where you get an indication of what future policy might look like. Markets are forward facing, so they price in things they expect to happen. So should we get obviously a more dovish Federal Reserve, then that's markets pricing in more interest rate cuts. A more hawkish Federal Reserve means we're just continuing to shake or to push cuts out further into this year, or even into early next year. Tomorrow I will be streaming again, and the reason I'm streaming again is I'm going to do a full Fed preview. So I'm going to really focus on those US markets and what we're expecting from the Federal Reserve, and what the probabilities are, and what the interest rate expectations are for this year, etc., and what that can mean for the US dollar, for gold, for the US stock market, etc. So I won't do a full breakdown of the Fed today, because I've scheduled that for to be tomorrow. So I will do that for you. As we head into Thursday, we've got more central bank interest rate decisions, this time from the Bank of England, who we are expecting to cut interest rates from 4.5% down to 4.25%. With the Bank of England, you get a vote as well, so that the Monetary Policy Committee members vote whether they think rates should be hiked, whether they should be cut, or whether they should be held where they are. So that's always tends to be something that causes movement, particularly obviously in the UK markets like the pound. Puts a lot of emphasis this week, or in the next 48 hours, on cable, on the pound versus US dollar. That's going to be a market which is definitely one to take a look at. And then I think the week tails off a little bit. Yeah, so it's a strange week, because obviously we've got bank holidays. We had bank holidays, sorry, and then we've got not really much, but a lot. So a lot of this week is going to be centralised just purely around the Federal Reserve and obviously the Bank of England. That's what's going to cause the market movements this week. Okay, right, onto the charts, and just having a quick look at the overview of some of the moves that we've had early this morning and yesterday. Stock market selling off a little bit, down 0.5%. We can see crude oil has snapped higher, 2%. We're definitely going to touch on crude oil, because we called that very well in terms of the move down below 60 and into potentially around the 55 area. So we'll take a look at that. The dollar's pretty much flat. Silver's up 1.8%, gold's up 1%, so it's a good day for commodities today. I'm seeing generally a slightly risk-off tone, but nothing crazy. And really, it's been a fairly, I wouldn't say steady, because the markets are still quite fragile, I think, but it's been a good recovery on the whole in these markets. I want to take a look at the DAX in a bit, because I'm pretty sure that's trading back up nearly all-time highs. So a lot of these risks from tariffs, the panic and the fear from tariffs, is fading rapidly, and we're not hearing anything extra in terms of aggressiveness in tariff policy. In fact, what we're hearing more than anything is almost like a scale back in the trade war, and some deals potentially being made and being negotiated, which is a good thing, actually. It's a positive thing. Now, you do still have the threat of a recession looming in the background, But overall, I would say that the sentiment and the tone right now, albeit fragile, it's fairly bullish actually. It's okay. So what I want to do quickly is I want to quickly show you just the conclusion of the trade that I placed in the trade ideas section middle of last week. This was the last trade that I placed, so I've not placed a trade for about 5 or 6 days, and it was a trend rider trade on the pound versus the US dollar. So let me get that. Where is it? Stream. Let me load up a chart first. Mine's gone blank. Here we go. Trend rider, trend rider, trend rider. Okay. Let's go to US dollar markets. Pound US dollar. Here we go. 4-hour time frame. And here we go. So this was the trade that I placed. I placed a 1% trade, 2% trade on this actually. Honestly, it was a trend rider long. It was something that I would have always placed. The rules were met. We had a nice gap between these two moving averages. We had a bullish crossover, so the red line was trading above the blue line. That's my bullish trend. You can see that the trade did get off to a half decent start, but I never really got that 1-to-1. And then since then, obviously, the trade come down and hit a stop loss. So that's a loss on the account from last week, which is fine. And as you can see, really, I just got chopped up in this mess. And it's been a fairly difficult few weeks, actually, to trade some of these markets. Particularly the currency markets, particularly US dollar. I think it's been quite a difficult few weeks for traders. I hear a lot of people saying that they keep getting chopped out, and that's really just because you think of the period before that. That's when we got like the expansion, right? And it's quite common. In fact, it's very normal and expected that after a period of expansion, we see a period of consolidation, and that's really what we're seeing across the board. In some of these markets. So yes, this happens to pretty much most people. Most people are sort of trend riding or trend following traders. I don't know too many people that just trade in a range. And in those times where you see the markets consolidate, you have to expect that sometimes you're going to get a period of 1 month, maybe 2 months of the year where the market is chopping and churning and it's not really quite found any clear direction. And that's really what we've seen from particularly in cable. So I think it's important that you remain patient and always trying to look out for, okay, where's the next expansion move coming from? When I look at the pound dollar, hello to you, Team Honest. Hello, Dan. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for tuning in today. How's your trading going? I hope it's been better than mine over the last 2 weeks. I took a loss on the stock market. And I took a loss on cable. So I'm determined to find a winning trade today. I've actually got an idea of what I'm going to do today. I'll show you in a second. I have to say that, and I know, Bobby, you want me to cover this market, but I don't like to trade that. For me, that's sort of a no-go trade. For me, that's like an area, a price action that I look at and I say, I'm not really interested in trading that, if I'm being honest. So at the moment right now, for me, cable is in a consolidation period, and it probably will be like that until the Fed. And if we don't learn anything new from the Fed, it's going to be more chop and churn this week. And so I don't want you to just like start losing trades for no reason. Yeah, I probably wouldn't trade this how it looks right now, if I'm being totally honest with you. 1 hour, let's just drop down to the 1 hour. Again, you can see the only thing you could really argue is that we're near the bottom of the range, so there is a potential for, if you the potential maybe to go long up to the top of this range, but it's not something that I'm looking to do, to be honest with you. The trade that I am looking for, actually, let's just go through. I want to go through the trend rider first, and I'll show you the trade that I'm looking for. It's actually something I posted last week. I just want to check something on euro dollar. Okay, so you can actually see that's why this strategy is great, because You can see how these moving averages are like just sort of constantly like interlocking with each other. That's a sign of choppy consolidation and price action. Yeah, it's a sign that the markets haven't really found any clear direction just yet. And I wonder if that's the case across pretty much all of these markets. Okay. NZD USD looks like it's ticking slightly higher. Look at USD Swiss franc, just sort of in that holding pattern again. You could argue both sides really. We've had a reaction from this low, mini break of structure, now consolidating. Do we get that next break higher? Yeah, it's so true, Dan. And often, like when I come onto these streams, I do want to find trade ideas for people. But if I'm not necessarily trading them myself, I don't want to be giving them out, you know. And I don't want to sit here and try and get people to trade in anticipation of a breakout. That's just not how you trade. Wait for the breakout first, wait for the retest, then go, and then go. You know, that's what I always say. Wait for that time where the markets are going higher. And you can really see that is the case across the board. When I look at my trend rider strategy on all dollar pairs, it's a mess. And therefore, it makes it, for me, not tradable. Let's go back to my normal analysis. Okay. And let's have a look at the trade idea that I'm going to give a go. So, it's basically this. You can see what I've drawn. I actually flagged this up quite a long time ago. It's how long we've been, it's over a week ago, but I think I flagged this potential head and shoulders pattern on euro dollar on the 4 hour. I'm not an avid head and shoulders trader, to be honest, but to me this looks really clean. And then what was really nice is that this was the neckline. You can see the neckline of this head and shoulders, and the way that you trade it is that you wait for a breakout of the neckline like you see there, then you wait for a retest like you saw here. And look, once, twice. That's quite tempting for me, to be fair. And it's probably the best thing that I can find right now. We're sort of, what I like about it as well is that, okay, yes, we are consolidating below it, but we're almost creating almost like a flag pattern, because we've had that break below and now we've had a consolidation period. I think it's a decent probability that we might see this, potentially. It's slightly risky heading into the FOMC, but with the fact that we see no advancements in tariff trade wars, I think it gives Powell a bit of ammunition tomorrow to come down and sort of, I say double down, but reiterate his fairly hawkish message. It is choppy, Laurie, yeah, but the technicals look decent enough. If I drop down onto the 1 hour time frame, what I can see here is a reaction, a move back up. I wouldn't say it's the strongest like order block I've ever seen in the world, but it's an order block. Supply zone. Okay, then there's another reaction, and actually if you look and zoom in here, maybe I'm clutching, but you can see break of low, imbalance, and potentially, if you look at where that move started, order block, or supply zone, should we call it? I never know whether to call it a supply zone or order block. I know these smart money traders call it all different things, but I like to call it a supply zone when I'm looking for selling, or bearish order block. And for me, I think this is worth 40 pip stop loss is a decent stop loss. And if you look at the, the long-term target, we could still be fairly bullish and target like all of this sort of imbalance down here. Look at the risk reward on it. It's 8 to 1. I know this is I know it's choppy out there, and that's why that I would, for me, I would put one. I'm going to put a 1% risk on this. So if I just go on to risk calculator, go to euro dollar. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just showing. I'm just doing a calculating my risk on the trade. 1%, 40 pip stop loss, 2.3 lots. I always trade on my phone because it's easier. Euro dollar, 2.33 lots. We got so close to the entry as well. So I'm going to set a sell limit. So that's at 1.3392. Stop loss for me would be at 1.13800, say. And I'll just put the take profit as nothing for now, and just manage the risk as the trade's live. So if I hit 1 to 1, I'll take some profit off the table, etc. And there we go. I've placed that sell limit. As you can see, I've placed it. I think you can see that. Yeah. And that will be really my trade that I'm willing to give a go. So that is the benefit of coming onto the streams, because you can see the way that I like to place my trades. And if I take a loss, it's fine. It's only 1% on this. And I like the risk reward. And I like the breakout below the head and shoulders. Oh, what have I done? Let's see how we get on. Alright, euro dollar sell on the stream. I'll post it in the Atmos channel as well. I think I've been tagged in. We're live. We are live. That was quick. Okay, good stuff. Alright, let's see how we get on. Yeah, there's potential there, yeah. I'm just reading some of the comments. So maybe after FOMC we will show some better direction. Yeah, potentially. There's always a risk. You can't trade without risk, right? And the risk here is that obviously not just the trade loses, but the Fed come out and it's not seen as very hawkish, and then Eurodollar will probably break above all of this and continue higher. But at least we'll then know. But there's also a chance, and I would say probably more of a chance, that the Fed come out fairly hawkish. And should they do that, that gives us the ammo for at least a move to 1 to 1. And if I can get 1 to 1, right, then I'm pretty much risk-free on the trade anyway. So that's what you always got to remember. Is you're not necessarily looking for that home run. You're always thinking, have I got a good chance here that I'll at least get a 1 to 1 trade? Because if that's a yes, then you're always sort of going to be, if as long as you manage risk properly, you're always going to be sort of 1 to 1 and risk-free anyway. Hello, Osama. Sorry, I'm late again. No problem. W trade. Yeah, we'll see. It's been one that's sort of been planned for ages. You can tell how choppy it's been because I marked that head and shoulders like 2 weeks ago. So, uh, Dan says currently interested in short-term selling in EU around 1.13422. That's it. That's where I am. There we go. We agree, Dan. We agree for once. I'm joking. Okay, cool. Let's let that play out then. Right, crude oil. Look how beautiful crude oil was down towards 55. The only thing I'm surprised at with crude is that we didn't see. Oh, sorry, just got getting a phone call. The only thing I was surprised at with crude is that we didn't take out this low, which potentially tells me that there may be some more selling to come. But you can see that the gap we created overnight is being filled, if not broken. So we could see this. I'm actually tempted for this. Now the reason why I've been bearish on crude for so long, I have been bearish on crude for so long. We had some news overnight over some tensions in West Asia. So I believe it was yesterday Israel carried out airstrikes on a port and cement factory in Yemen. This follows missile attack by Houthis, if I've said that right, on Israel's Ben Gurion airport on Sunday. And obviously that has put threat on to some of the crude oil. Who's messaging me? Sorry. That has put threat on some of the crude oil supply. I know OPEC have been increasing supply, and I know there's this underlying demand concern, but we have fallen quite a lot. So I think there's potential here. We've created sort of a double bottom, or we've actually really created a higher low. And yeah, I'm actually going to line this trade up. I want to see a breakout above this fair value gap and try and trade this back up to, I mean, even if we've got to move up to 60, crude oil is cheap, right? Anything below 60 is historically quite a good area to look to buy crude. And even a move up to, okay, so move up to 61 gets me 1-to-1 from that. So yeah, quite like the idea of that trade as well. So maybe I'll give you an update on that tomorrow. It would be great if we saw something like this, some of that move reversed. But slightly, definitely more of a risky trade. But just wondering whether we've started to see the bottom being printed in oil, with all this bad news sort of priced in now. We're sort of pricing in worst case scenario, and we are trading. We did touch 55, which is look on the weekly. I wonder where that sits in here. Well, that's not really a good confluence at all, actually. That suggests that we might even be going lower, but I'll keep an eye on it. This might be a short term, more of a day trade rather than a position or swing trade like I normally do. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, and it's starting to trend up on the lower time frames as well, on the hourly, etc. Yeah, look. But I do want to see a clean break of the fair value gap and then trade the retest first. Okay, gold. Let's have a look at gold. Who remembers this? We spoke a little bit about the gold market. And you can see this sort of area of demand, although it would have, if you'd actually traded the demand zone itself, it probably would have been a stop loss. You can see how that did act as a great area of support. And once again, I got caught out by gold by trying to get too much of a deeper correction. I wanted to see a move down here, but we didn't quite get it. And you can actually see that, you know, this looks pretty good, to be honest. Look at that. breakout above the trend line, retest, boom. This is a situation I think it's a trade that's probably missed. But if you do manage to get in, I can't see how we don't see a move at least up to 450. So if you're getting any scalping opportunities today, this isn't in an area for me that I want to trade, to be honest with you. But yeah, difficult one. It's one of those. It's one of those ones where I think this is for you, Bobby. Is that the move's been missed? So this is like would be a classic FOMO buy if I tried to buy it here. So I missed that. But in terms of direction, definitely still bullish. And this looks like a really nice break. So we could see a move up to 450. If you do manage to get, if there's any strategy that you've got that tells you, you know, gold buyers, I think you probably would be fairly good up to 450. And who says that gold can't break above 500? You know, there's no point talking the bears. Okay, I know a few people trade the DAX. Was quite unlucky on the DAX. I was really lining up this trade. It would have been beautiful, as you can see. We didn't quite get the test of that fair value gap. It happens. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't get filled. It's still there though. It's that the gap is still there, and you could argue that if we do get any more negative news around economy, around tariffs, etc., then this will fall pretty quickly, and this fair value gap would remain in the long term a selling target for me. But it looks pretty good. Look at them equal highs. That is liquidity. I can't see a situation where we don't take out this high. I'll be very surprised if we reverse here. So I think the DAX has got room to take out this liquidity, and then it's about what sort of candle closure we get. Do we see a candle closure above the high, therefore, and keep going, or do we see a liquidity grab and a rotation back down towards? It's quite, in the current environment that we've got, it seems strange that we would see. It's the stock market at the end of the day, but it seems strange. I don't really see how. Well, the price action tells you what, but I don't believe that it should be blasting up to new highs. So I think I'd prefer the liquidity sweep trade and a rotation back down towards and maybe targeting here. But at the moment, you've got to understand that the sentiment isn't that negative in the short term, and so we would expect this to at least come and take up this high. So yeah, I wanted to touch on the US 30 as well, because this is the sort of broken above this trend line, but not quite. Oh, sorry, that was the US 30. The Nasdaq, again, in really key areas for me. Hello, Jessica Bonus, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. This high is very important. I think should we stay below this high, there could be another move lower coming. I'm not going to be actively looking to sell it, but we can see, actually, this is quite nice. Okay, that was where we had that next leg lower. We've come and traced all the way into that. I wonder whether, I don't know what's going to be coming out, but should we get some more negative news or negative sentiment, could be the start of the next leg lower. I did say when we saw this, I said I don't think we've reached the low. That was my opinion. I still think that, but I'm not as confident as I was before, to be honest with you. So the data at the moment isn't suggesting recession too much, and we're not hearing any other news around the tariffs, etc. So yeah, I'm going to leave the stock market alone, I think, because I'm still sort of caught in two minds. I think yeah, I'm still caught in two minds, to be honest with you. In fact, I'm sort of leaning towards the bullish side, but we have had quite an aggressive move lower over the last few months, as we know, and we've sort of retraced up towards key resistance areas. I'm not confident enough to sell them, but I'm also not going to buy at resistance. So that's why I'm probably going to leave that one alone for today, to be honest with you. So I think that pretty much covers it for me. I like the look of potentially going long on crude as a short-term trade. I'm short on euro dollar, so I'll update you on that. And at the moment, I think that's enough for me. That's enough risk in the market with the Fed coming tomorrow. So tomorrow I will do a full breakdown of the Fed interest rate decision, what I'm expecting Powell to say, what that could mean for markets. I am leaning towards the more hawkish side. I think he's got the ammunition to do that. I think if there was a lot of fear and panic in the markets leading into it, his hawkish tone probably wouldn't have been met very kindly. But I think now things have calmed down a little bit. I think that sort of gives him that ammunition to potentially be slightly more hawkish than he maybe would have been a month or two ago, which potentially opens up the chance for some dollar strength. So I'll touch on that all tomorrow. I'll do some research today, and yeah, hopefully I see you all for tomorrow's stream. If you do need me at any time, then feel free to message me in the Discord channel, and I'll be more than happy to help. I will try and get an update on the giveaways today as well, and let you all know when they'll be beginning and how that works. It'll be very simple. It's very easy for you. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up. So thank you very much to those who tuned in and who are watching on Catch Up. I will see you all tomorrow, and trade well, trade safe, and yeah, see you soon. Cheers.